Nearly half of American workers say a paycheck arriving just 1 week late would create serious financial stress. Another 28% say it would still be difficult to manage. Put those together, and 77% of working Americans are in trouble if income stops for only 7 days. The deeper numbers are even worse. Bankrate's 2026 Emergency Savings Report shows that 24% of Americans have no emergency savings at all. On top of that, 59% cannot cover a $1,000 surprise expense without borrowing money or selling something. The Federal Reserve's 2024 survey found only 55% of adults have enough saved to cover 3 months of expenses. This is not only a low-income problem, it shows up across different salaries, education levels, and professions. Goldman Sachs found that 41% of Americans earning between $300,000 and $500,000 still live paycheck to paycheck. Among those making more than $500,000, 40% say the same. So the issue is not just income. The real issue is what happens after the paycheck hits and before the next one arrives. For most people, money comes in and instantly vanishes. It slips through their hands like water. They know they got paid. They know the balance is gone. But what happened in between is the part they avoid looking at too closely. That problem has become even more serious because the economy has changed fast. Daily life costs roughly 30% more than it did 3 years ago. Inflation has changed the buying power of every paycheck. High-yield savings accounts that were paying 4 to 5% in 2023 and 2024 have dropped into the 3 to 4% range. Retirement contribution limits have moved higher. The rules of money in 2026 are not the same as they were a few years ago, and your paycheck system has to adapt. This video gives you a clear order for handling every paycheck in 2026. And the order matters more than people think. Get this sequence right, and over time you start pulling ahead of people who earn roughly what you earn, but somehow stay broke year after year. The first move comes before anything else touches your money. Every minimum debt payment gets covered immediately. Credit cards, student loans, car loans, buy now, pay later balances, medical payment plans, whatever monthly debt obligation exists in your life, the minimum payment goes first. This is not the stage where you are winning. This is the stage where you are staying alive. Think of it like treading water. You are not moving toward shore yet. You are simply making sure you do not sink. Because one missed payment can cause damage that lasts a long time. A lower credit score can raise your future borrowing costs, increase apartment security deposits, push insurance premiums higher, and even create problems if an employer checks your credit during hiring. Your credit score is built from 5 factors, but 2 of them do most of the heavy lifting. Payment history makes up 35% of the score. Credit utilization makes up another 30%. That means 65% of your score comes down to paying on time and not letting debt get out of control. So the formula is simple. Pay on time. Keep utilization reasonable. Do that consistently, and your score improves without hacks, tricks, or gimmicks. You do not need a full debt kill strategy yet. That comes later in step 5. At this stage, the goal is much simpler. Make sure nothing gets missed. Set up automatic payments on every debt account. Every lender gives you that option. Use it. Then comes step 1.5, and this step deserves its own place because it makes the rest of the system much easier. Automate everything. If there is one financial move that can change your life with the least effort, it is setting up automatic transfers for every step in this plan. Automation removes emotion, memory, and willpower from the process. And that is exactly the point. The reason is simple. You are far less likely to spend money that never sits in front of you. When transfers happen automatically before cash settles in your checking account, you are not depending on discipline after a long day. You are not trusting yourself to remember when life gets messy. You are not battling temptation when something attractive shows up and asks for your money. The money gets redirected before any of those problems even have a chance to show up. Once the system is set, your paycheck moves into the right places automatically without needing another decision from you. And the evidence behind this is strong. Research from state-facilitated retirement programs shows that workers saving through automatic payroll deductions are far more likely to stay consistent than workers trying to move money manually. More than 1 million workers have already built over $2 billion inside state auto IRA programs through contributions that happened quietly in the background. Payroll.org's 2024 survey found that nearly 92% of American workers already get paid through direct deposit. So the system is already in place. Most banks and brokerages let you schedule transfers for exact amounts on exact dates. The technology is there. The friction is basically gone. After this video, spend 15 minutes setting it up. Walk through the flowchart, assign each step to the right account, and automate the whole thing. That short setup session can keep paying off for decades. Step 2 is your monthly operating budget. This is the money that keeps your life running. Rent or mortgage, electricity, gas, water, and internet, groceries, healthcare, transportation, insurance. These are not optional expenses. These are the bills that keep your life stable. You need a real number here, not a guess. If rent is $1,750, utilities are $300, the car payment is $400, insurance is $150, groceries average $500, and the rest of your basic costs total $300, then your monthly operating number is about $3,400. That money should stay in checking and remain protected from impulse spending. Then add a little breathing room. An extra $300 to $500 can save you from stress when a utility bill spikes or some routine cost lands higher than expected. Real life rarely follows the spreadsheet exactly. A useful guideline for most people is the 50-30-20 structure. Half of your after-tax income goes to needs. 30% goes to wants like eating out, hobbies, subscriptions, and entertainment. The final 20% goes towards saving, investing, and paying off debt faster. But that ratio is not a law. In expensive cities, needs might eat up 60%. In lower-cost areas, they could fall closer to 40%. The goal is not to force your life into a perfect formula. The goal is to know your actual numbers and build your plan around reality. And there is one distinction many people completely miss. Your monthly operating budget is not your emergency fund. They serve different jobs. The operating budget handles the predictable bills you know are coming. The emergency fund exists for the things you did not see coming. That brings us to step 3, building your emergency fund. For years, the standard advice was 3 months of living expenses. But the environment has changed. Between layoffs, inflation pressure, and broader economic instability, 4 to 6 months has become the stronger baseline. So if your monthly needs are $2,500, your target emergency fund is somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000. Yes, that can feel massive when you are starting from scratch. So do not obsess over the final number first. Break it into stages. Get to $2,000, then $5,000, then $10,000. Every checkpoint makes the next one easier. This fund comes before serious investing, before aggressive debt attacks, and before extra spending. Because when life hits hard, this account is the thing that keeps the rest of the plan from collapsing. And most people still do not have it. Bankrate's 2026 data shows 24% of Americans have no emergency savings at all. Another 30% have some savings, but not enough to cover 3 months of expenses. And 60% say they are uncomfortable with where they stand right now. Where you store this money matters too. FDIC data shows the national average savings account rate is just 0.39%. But many online high-yield savings accounts still pay between 3% and 4% APY, with some offering more than 4%. That difference is not small. Put $15,000 in a traditional savings account at 0.39%, and you earn about $58 in a year. Put that same $15,000 in a high-yield account earning 4%, and you make about $600. Same cash, same FDIC protection. Radically better result. High-yield savings accounts are not paying what they paid at the peak. Back in 2023 and 2024, finding 4.5 to 5% was common. Then the Federal Reserve cut rates multiple times in late 2025, and savings yields moved down with it. But even at 3.5%, high-yield accounts still beat traditional savings accounts by a wide margin. Step 4 is where real wealth building finally starts. This is the point where you begin investing for retirement. A strong baseline is putting 10 to 15% of every paycheck into retirement accounts. And the people who actually build wealth tend to treat that contribution like a fixed bill, not an optional extra. Research on millionaire habits, including Ramsey Solutions' survey of more than 10,000 millionaires, shows that wealth builders consistently invest at least 15% before giving that money a chance to get absorbed by other spending. For 2026, retirement limits moved higher again. The 401k limit is now $24,500 a year for workers under 50. If you are 50 to 59 or 64 and older, you can add another $8,000 in catch-up contributions, bringing the total to $32,500. If you are between 60 and 63, Secure 2.0 gives you an enhanced catch-up amount of $11,250, which pushes your total annual limit to $35,750. There is also one major rule change in 2026. If your 2025 FICA wages were above $150,000 and you want to make catch-up contributions, those catch-up dollars now have to go in as Roth contributions. For higher earners, the pre-tax catch-up option is gone. Inside this step, the first priority is simple. Get every dollar of your employer match. If your employer matches 50 cents on the dollar up to 6%, and you are only contributing 3%, you are walking away from guaranteed money. That match gives you an instant 50% return before the market even enters the conversation. There is no normal investment that offers that kind of guaranteed gain. So always take the match first. And the reason this matters so much is because time does the heavy lifting. Put 10% of a $75,000 salary into retirement, and you are investing $7,500 a year. Leave that going for 40 years in diversified index funds, earning an average of 8%, and it grows to around $2.1 million by retirement. The hard part is not the math. The hard part is staying consistent for decades. That is why automation matters so much. Set the percentage once, let payroll do the work, and stop relying on motivation. IRA limits increase too. In 2026, the annual contribution cap rose to $7,500. If you are 50 or older, you can add another $1,100, bringing the total to $8,600. And if you have access to a high-deductible health plan, your SHA deserves real attention. It is one of the most powerful accounts available because it gives you a triple tax advantage. Contributions reduce your taxable income. The money grows tax-free. And withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are also tax-free. For 2026, ASA limits are $4,400 for individuals and $8,750 for families. Expanded federal rules have also made more people eligible by allowing bronze and catastrophic plans to qualify as ASA compatible. Then comes Step 5, eliminating high-interest debt. Any debt above 15% APR belongs in this category. Credit cards usually live here, with average rates above 20%. A lot of personal loans do too. And paying off debt at 24% interest is the financial equivalent of earning a guaranteed 24% return. No legitimate investment gives you that, which means crushing high-interest debt is one of the most reliable wins available. There are two main ways to do it. The avalanche method attacks the highest interest rate first, no matter the balance. It is the mathematically superior option because it minimizes the total interest you pay. But it can feel slow if that high-interest debt also happens to be the biggest balance. The snowball method goes after the smallest balance first, regardless of the rate. That means quicker wins, faster emotional momentum, and the satisfaction of wiping out entire debts one by one, even if it costs more overall. Take a simple example. You have a car loan with an $8,000 balance at 7%, a credit card with $3,000 at 25%, and student loans totaling $15,000 at 5%. The avalanche method says hit the credit card first because the 25% rate is doing the most damage. The snowball method also starts with the credit card here because it is also the smallest balance. Sometimes both debt payoff methods lead to the same first move. When that happens, great. When they do not, choose the one that fits your nature. Some people stay committed when the math is perfectly optimized. Others stay committed when they see quick wins early. Neither approach is flawed if it keeps you moving. There is also an important nuance here. Low-interest debt does not always need to be eliminated before investing begins. If you are carrying student loans at 4%, it can still make sense to invest while that debt remains. Over long periods, the stock market has historically returned around 8 to 10%. At the same time, every extra dollar used to pay off 4% debt gives you a guaranteed 4% return with no volatility, no uncertainty, and no downside. So the mathematically strongest path may be investing while low-interest debt stays in place. But for many people, the emotionally strongest path is becoming completely debt-free first. Both roads can lead to wealth. The better choice is often the one that lets you sleep better and stay consistent. Step 6 pushes your investing beyond workplace retirement plans. Once steps 1 through 5 are covered, the priority stack looks like this. First, get the full 401k employer match. Second, max out the Roth IRA. Third, go back and raise your 401k contribution further or begin investing through a taxable brokerage account. The Roth IRA deserves extra attention because its tax structure is incredibly powerful. The money grows tax-free, and when you pull it out in retirement, the gains are still tax-free. Not reduced, not discounted, completely untouched by taxes. The trade-off happens on the front end. You contribute after-tax money, so there is no deduction today. But in exchange, decades of growth can escape taxation entirely. For 2026, the annual Roth IRA limit is $7,500 if you are under 50 and $8,600 if you are 50 or older. Once the Roth is fully funded, a taxable brokerage account becomes the next option. It gives you unlimited contribution room and full access to your money without retirement penalties, but the tax treatment changes. That is where strategy matters. If you sell investments within a year, the gains can be taxed as ordinary income at rates as high as 37%. Hold them longer than a year, and they usually qualify for long-term capital gains treatment, which ranges from 0% to 20%. Because of that, higher growth assets can make more sense inside a Roth where taxes never touch the gains. In taxable brokerage accounts, index funds usually shine. They are low-cost, tax-efficient, and built to perform steadily over long stretches of time. But the deeper lesson is bigger than account placement. Consistent investing, even without perfect optimization, beats endless hesitation. Wealth usually comes from action repeated for years, not from waiting for ideal conditions that never arrive. Step 7 is where the conversation expands from managing income to multiplying it. Inc. reported that 65% of self-made millionaires had at least 3 income streams. Tom Corley's 5-year research found that 45% had 4 income streams and 29% had 5 or more. That matters because in 2026, depending on one paycheck alone is more dangerous than it has been in a long time. Tech layoffs are still hitting major companies. Artificial intelligence is changing entire industries in unpredictable ways. Economic instability no longer feels temporary. It feels structural. That is why income diversification matters just as much as portfolio diversification. And building it does not require destroying your life with 80-hour weeks. Even 1 to 5 focused hours each week can create an extra $100, $500, or even $1,000 a month, depending on your skills and the route you choose. That route could be freelance work in your field, dividend income, YouTube or newsletter content, e-commerce through platforms like Etsy or Amazon, coaching based on expertise you already have, or real estate exposure through direct ownership or REITs. And every extra dollar from those income streams strengthens the earlier parts of this system. It can enlarge your emergency fund, raise retirement contributions, and grow your taxable investments faster. More income means more fuel, and more fuel means faster compounding. This is also where you protect yourself from lifestyle inflation. Every time income rises, redirect at least half of that increase into savings before your lifestyle has a chance to absorb it. So if you get a $5,000 raise, increase your 401k contribution by about $200 a month right away. Then let the other $200 improve your day-to-day life. You still feel the reward of earning more, but half of that raise goes toward building wealth instead of quietly disappearing into slightly upgraded habits, slightly nicer conveniences, and slightly more expensive versions of the same life. That one rule alone can stop lifestyle inflation from silently destroying high-income earners. Goldman Sachs found that 41% of people making between $300,000 and $500,000 still live paycheck to paycheck. Their income climbed, but their spending climbed with it at every stage. There are also tax moves beyond retirement contributions that can lower the damage. One of the most overlooked is the Saver's Credit. In 2026, it applies to retirement contributions for taxpayers under certain income limits. $40,250 for single filers and $80,500 for married couples. And even though it is a direct tax credit, 1 out of every 5 eligible taxpayers never claims it. This is why your system needs a yearly reset. Every January, review the new year's contribution limits, update your payroll settings, and make sure your plan stays aligned with the new numbers. Put it on the calendar and treat it like a fixed appointment. Because the real payoff from this routine does not show up in a week or a month. It reveals itself over years, then over decades. Take someone earning $65,000 a year. If that person follows this structure, saves 15% for retirement, builds a 6-month emergency fund, sticks to a 50-30-20 framework, and keeps lifestyle inflation under control, the long-term result can be massive. At a 15% savings rate, about $813 a month gets invested. Leave that invested for 30 years at an average 7% return, and it grows to roughly $920,000. Then layer in employer matching. Add future raises with half of each raise flowing into contributions. Add tax savings from pre-tax retirement investing. Add an SAW that stays invested and untouched for decades. Now the outcome gets even bigger. And this pattern shows up again and again in real-world research. Ramsey Solutions found that 79% of millionaires built their wealth without inheritance. Only 31% averaged incomes of $100,000 or more. And the typical millionaire did not get there through one lucky break. He got there after about 28 years of consistent behavior. That is what makes this powerful. The routine is not flashy. There are no secret assets, no exotic investments, no genius market timing moves. Just a clear order, automated systems, repeated discipline, and the ability to handle every paycheck the right way each time it arrives. Most workers never build that system. Many could not survive a 1-week delay in pay. Many have no emergency reserve. Many owe more on credit cards than they hold in savings. Many will work until their bodies force them to stop because they never built income that could exist without their labor. This paycheck routine is what separates you from that path. Your next paycheck is coming. What matters now is what you do the moment it lands. Run the routine every single time.